So
Howdy.
yay, Emily, you're in the hot seat. And Emily is actually the founder of
Co-founder.
Co-founder. Oh, that's right. That's right.
There were two of us named Emily.
The
Yes.
two Emilys, yes. But co-founder of the Professional Audiobook Narrators Association. I always think of you as Prez, but I think your official title is exec officer, right? Whatever
yeah. I mean, we've got, your traditional split in a nonprofit where we've got the board, and then I'm more the person that makes things happen. So I'm the executive officer. They're in charge of strategy. I'm in charge of executing the strategy. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And by the way, guys, if you have any questions for Emily during this convo, throw it in the chat and I'll ask her. So Emily, tell me about your narration life.
Tell you about my narration life.
Like sum up. You don't have to give me, I started when I was 12, that kind of thing,
I mean, basically, there's sort of three phases. The first was I answered a Craigslist ad when I lived in Oklahoma, and that was for a just staff narrator for a really small publishing firm out there. And long story short, I got the job. No training, no feedback, just me and a packet of paper here. That's how you run the computer. I was doing all my own editing. I was doing all my own sound effects because you had to. All the mastering. Do I remember any of it? No. So I did that for a little while, and then, got engaged, moved away, ended up in New York for 2 years, didn't do anything theatrical. And then got back into it with a church friend who'd known I had done these audiobooks previously, asked me to send her samples, even though I was like, no, they're not very good. She was like, send them anyway. And she ended up getting me an audition for the Library of Congress's Books for the Blind program. And I worked exclusively as an audiobook narrator for the Books for the Blind program for 5.5, 6 years. It was a long time. And I mean, sometimes people are like, how do you record so much? And it's because I had to record 7 hours a day, 5 days a week to pay my bills. And I did. And I was so grateful. And I got to read. I mean, because it was Books for the Blind, they have a small pool of narrators. And so I got to read things I would never get to read now. I got to be the only person who narrated a 40-hour sci-fi anthology and of like short stories. It was honestly one of the coolest projects I ever did. And I got to read, instructional things about like differential equations and DNA. And it was so much fun. I basically did every genre ever. And then I was able to start transitioning into commercial audiobooks later with the help of a coach and a mentor. And that was, I think my first commercial book was like 2019. So
you've been doing this a while. Craigslist ad.
2010 was that first set.
I was going to say, like, I wouldn't trust a Craigslist ad now.
At the time, it was just enough that you could tell what the scuzzy ones were and what the real ones were. So, yeah.
The real audiobooks versus the fake?
Well, no, it was just the theater audio or the theater auditions page, basically.
Oh, that's crazy.
So, yeah.
That's crazy. Ojen wants to know, did last week's interviewee work for LOC, Library of Congress? Is that LOC?
That's LOC, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure. We can ask when they get back.
Gaelish is shaking their head.
Oh, okay.
Gaelish, or Crystal is shaking their head. Yes, sorry, Crystal.
Okay. Oh, that's
too
oh my
complete.
Goodness. Thank you, because I forgot to even do, please, your intro, name, character, and then what book or series do you wish you had narrated or could narrate, and something fun about you.
Okay, so my name is Emily Ellet, and my character is Lazuli Frostgranite. The book that I wish I had narrated, it's kind of a cheat because I did narrate it, but I narrated it for Library of Congress, and I wish I had gotten to narrate the series. I only did the first book for Library of Congress, but I wish I'd gotten to narrate the series for real, and it's Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. And like, I know, he's got like he's got his people and he's got a whole thing, and I will just never get there. But like, I got to read Skyward for Library of Congress, and I'm not joking. Every time I was in the booth for that, it was like, I could not stop singing Danger Zone because that book feels like Ender's Game meets Top Gun. And that's just where I was for like a week. It was one of my favorites, and I really wish I could have done the whole series.
Oh, but even just to be able to do one of his books, that's so amazing.
I'd never even heard of him, and I'm so embarrassed now. I'm like, how? How had I not heard of him? Very big fan. Yeah.
That's amazing. And what's a fun fact about you?
When I lived in New York, I used to rollerblade as many of my commutes as I could. And so the studio I was mostly working at was near Columbus Circle. And I lived in, at different times, Washington Heights and Astoria and Brooklyn. And so I was rollerblading all over Manhattan. So,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
So, I mean, I know you narrate all genres, but what's your favorite?
Sci-fi, YA sci-fi specifically.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Definitely
awesome.
where my heart is. I think I watched Contact too early in my life. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Does anyone else have questions? I'm looking. What's a career goal you have for this year?
Oh, that's not a career goal. That's a personal goal.
Do another Brandon Sanderson.
No, not now. Just don't get me started on the Speechify thing. No, what's a career goal I have this year? I think it's to do a little less romance and a little more of the books that I'm excited about, which is not to say I'm not excited about romance. I love it, but it's just like a lot of us, I think it's just such a high proportion that I'd love to get a little bit more of some other things. And I'd really love to be doing more sci-fi. I'm excited because I just got cast in a multicast that's sci-fi. And I'm like, oh, is this a portent of things to come, please? So
That's so awesome. Fun fact, actually, Emily and I were on a multicast together.
That's coming out in 2 weeks. Yes.
Yeah. And it was so funny because like I didn't register to me until like months into the project. And then I saw your name on the like, you know, the CC and I was like, Emily, oh my gosh. And I was like, you know, messaging you like, oh my word, you know, that was great. Ojin wants to know if you could rollerblade anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Well, I mean, that's just asking me where I want a vacation. And the answer is Hawaii.
That'd be cool to rollerblade around there.
I mean, only if they have good paved sidewalks and roads. Like people always used to say, oh, aren't you scared of the cars rollerblading in New York? And I was like, no, the cars are super safe. The roads are the danger. So, yeah.
And briefly, what inspired you to start PANA?
You know, I'd been hearing the conversations going in private conversations and public conversations with audiobook narrators. Like the community had been talking about this for a long time. And at one point, I even sat down with someone and just listened to all their ideas and realized, oh, I know how to make a lot of these happen. I have a massive history in, or like experience set in volunteer work and committee work and executing and like projects. What's the word? Producing things. And so I basically said, if someone else wants to take on the face of it, I will produce the heck out of this. So I just always volunteered to be the executor, I guess. So,
that's awesome. And to wrap it up, if people want to listen to your work, what are the 2 audiobooks that they should go get?
Oh, so my 2 favorites are the Animorphs series by K.A. Applegate. Getting to voice Rachel was the dream of a lifetime. Honestly, if I hadn't voiced it, that would have been my dream project, but I did do that one. So go listen to Animorphs, all of them, not just my books, all the books are wonderful. And the second one, if you want something a little more in the vein of Punch and Roll and you want a rom-com, I recommend The X-Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon.